As the two guys stand in front of each other, Nirei starts to panic because he knows nothing good is going to come from this. Sugishita comes at Sakura really hard, but Sakura manages to evade all of his blows elegantly. Sugishita is known as a fanatic who doesn't take anything concerning the school as a joke. He is a believer, so to say, and Sakura threatening to take the top spot is not something he can overlook. Nirei is worried about Sakura as Sugishita throws his heavy punches around. He wants someone to stop the fight to prevent Sakura from getting killed. Just then, Sakura decides to get serious. He swiftly dodges a punch coming at him, and he retaliates with a powerful kick that leaves red liquid spilling out of Sugishita's mouth. He boldly takes his stand, letting Sugishita know that he is not someone who can take him down or even get near him. The two are about to have another go at each other when they hear someone's voice from the communication system. Sakura is vexed that someone interrupted the fight, but nonetheless, he is ready to start again. He looks around to see that everyone in the class is now paying attention to the voice coming from the speaker. He wonders who this person might be. The unknown person then introduces themselves as the Bofurin rep, and his name is Hajime Umemiya. Sakura hears this, and this immediately gets him excited. He realizes that this guy is actually the top guy in the school, and this is someone he needs to take down if he is to be in the top spot. However, he starts to rethink the high esteem he placed on the guy when Umemiya talks like someone who is a moron. It appears that he has even forgotten what he wanted to talk about, leaving Sakura disappointed. The guy finally gets into the main body of his speech, telling the guys to have a wonderful youth. He even advises them to visit the beach and have all the fun that they can since they just made it to high school. Umemiya is not expecting anyone to get into a fight on their first day. Clearly, bro hasn't met Sakura and Sugishita. As the guy is about to end his speech, he reminds the students that protecting the town is their ultimate priority. He wants them to live up to the name that was given to them by the town, and that is Bofurin, which simply means guardian. As he comes to the end of the broadcast, he tells the guys to go have fun. After the broadcast, Su tells Sakura and Sugishita to end their beef, hold hands, and become regulars. Sakura doesn't seem to be ready to do this, because Sugishita was the one who initially came after him. Sugishita also wants to prove stubborn, but when Su reminds him that Umemiya is going to be disappointed in him for acting out, he decides to chill out. He stretches his hand to Sakura for a handshake, so that they can call things fair. Sakura looks at the hand intensely, as if he is looking at an object that he can break. It feels so strange for Sakura, as he finally holds the guy's hand without flinging it away. The two finally take their hand away after a few seconds of a brief handshake and a moment of awkwardness. Sakura is pushed to the floor by his classmates, and they start to praise him for being a good fighter. The fact that he is able to land a shot on Sugishita actually spells out a lot for them to know. Getting hugged by someone feels weird to Sakura, and he starts to realize that this has been the norm for him since he came to the town. He hasn't been discriminated against just as he was before. He finds it hard to accept this fact and ends up throwing a punch at the guy hugging. This is nothing serious though, as it is just a friendly punch. Just then, a guy shows up in class to tell them that it is time to move out. This comes as a surprise to Sakura, because they just got to class and don't know where they are going. This doesn't need much explanation, as he soon finds himself painting and covering graffiti with paints. He and Nirei are together on this with Sao as their supervisor. Sakura cannot believe he is doing something like this, as he counts it as a messed up act. However, he has no choice but to follow what his guys are doing, to avoid being left out. The scene goes back to 30 minutes ago when the class was asked to move out. Sakura argues with the guy who said so, leaving the guy in a state of rage, and he starts to yab Sakura. When Sakura and the guys finally move out, they meet Hiragi. Hiragi checks the time to see how many minutes it took them to step outside of the class. It took them over 7 minutes just to leave their class, he says. Sakura then realizes that he remembers Hiragi from somewhere. He is the guy who came to support him when he was fighting the crooks from the day before. Nirei asks him if he knows the guy, and he is about to mention this when Hiragi runs toward him, dragging him away from the scene. He tells him not to mention the fact that Kotoha was at the fight scene, because this will only make Umemiya mad. He must not know that Kotoha was in danger, Hiragi says. The other students cannot hear their conversation and start wondering what the guys are talking about. After he is done talking, he takes out a medication that is prescribed for heartburn, and he takes it. He tells Sakura that he is in a town where the leader is absolutely ridiculous, and he should know that. After their conversation, Nirei wants to know what they are on about, but Sakura says it is nothing. He tells Nirei about the medication that Hiragi took, and the guy quickly jots it down. This is surprising to Sakura, asking Nirei why he put down the details about Hiragi. Nirei then lets Sakura know that Hiragi is one of the 4 kings of the school. Umemiya is the supreme leader, but serving under him are 4 representatives, who are known as kings. Each of them is like a captain for the respective classes. The four classes are the Tamon team, Jikoku team, Zojo team, and Komoku team. Nirei and Sakura are part of the Tamon team. Hiragi tells the guys to split up and they are going to have a senior as a supervisor. When asked what they are going to do, he lets them know that they are leaving to patrol the town. Sakura and Sugishita end up falling under Hiragi, and this is because Umemiya specifically told Hiragi to keep an eye on the two. No one wants a repeat of what happened between them, but Sakura still maintains the fact that Sugishita is the first person to come after him. This doesn't concern Hiragi. As long as he is able to keep an eye on the two, he is good. Sakura then asks Hiragi why they have resorted to patrolling the town when they can just go after the bad guys since they already know where they are. Hiragi lets him know that doing that has automatically updated the status from patrolling to raiding. Sakura believes that this is how they are supposed to be acting, but Hiragi lets him know that they don't make the first move. They wait for the bad guys to bring the fight to them before retaliating. Sakura believes this is a dull analogy, but Hiragi says Sakura is the dull one here because the only thing he considers fun is fighting people. With this, the group continues with their patrol of the town, while also helping the citizens who are in dire need. They soon get to an overhead track, and this is when Nirei lets Sakura know that the other side of the track belongs to a rival team. Bofurin and this team have rules not to enter into each other's territory just as countries do. This other team sounds dangerous, and their name is Shishitorin, the devotees of power. Just then, they see one of their middle school students running toward them. He is coming from the rival's turf, and he has 3 guys chasing him. There is no way he is going to make it past the tracks, and he is about to be captured when Sugishita and Sakura decide to intervene. They kick back the boy's assailant so that he can safely cross to their side. Nirei is scared that Sakura has ignited a war with what he just did. Arima is the guy who was knocked out, and he seems like he is not going to be able to move anytime soon. His comrades make fun of him for going down after just a kick. Just then, someone starts walking toward them, and the aura from this guy seems scary. Hiragi wasn't expecting the guy to show up, and it turns out that he is the second in command of Shishitoren, Joe Togame. The guy looks so cool, and he talks very slowly. Sakura cannot but wonder which type of person this guy is. Hiragi informs Joe that Arima was chasing after one of theirs, and this is the reason they had to defend their own. With the way Joe is talking slowly, Sakura is already getting irritated by this. Arima finally stands up, and he starts to blast the guys from Bofurin for interfering in a business that is being conducted on their turf. Joe angrily shuts him up by hitting him in the head with a glass. He holds him up and starts to punch him heavily. Joe is angry at him for losing, and still having the energy to talk back. Joe considers him weak as he continues hitting him. Even Hiragi feels pity for the guy, and has to tell Joe to stop hitting him. Asking Joe if the guy is not one of them, Joe says he doesn't consider the guy one of them because he lost. Losing means you are weak, Joe says. Because of this, Joe doesn't believe that anyone who is weak belongs to Shishitoren. Sakura decides to pitch in, and he tells Joe that whatever he believes in is nothing but a bunch of crap. Sakura doesn't take the beating up of someone who is weak as a show of power. The two walk toward each other, but Sakura doesn't even look scared, even though the guy has a reach on him. Joe looks very well at Sakura and decides to compare his head to Othello. Joe says the guy talks way too much, whereas Sakura believes that Joe is the one who talks like a sloth. Joe is not ready to engage Sakura as it is, and he promises to beat him up in a much proper setting. He lets Sakura know that he is not going to forget his face, and as he says this, Joe leaves the scene with his guys. After the guy is gone, Nirei starts to panic, and he talks about the possibility of a war brewing up, but Sue is there to calm him down. Hiragi takes his medication again, and instead of blaming Sakura and Sugishita for intervening, he decides to take responsibility, letting them know that he should have acted before they did. However, what is done, and they just need to head back to the school. Hiragi asks the guy who was being chased his name, and he says, Sasaki. He then tells Sasaki to come with him because he wants him to report everything to Umemiya. As they move to where Umemiya is, Sakura can see that Hiragi is really scared of the guy, and this is the reason he is even using a heartburn medication. They get to the roof where Umemiya is, and Sakura looks disappointed because this is not the type of guy he was expecting. The guy who is known as the strongest guy is all smiley and cute looking, which is not something he envisaged.